Before we get started, I would like to thank Tweaked Audio for helping sponsor this show. You listen to podcasts, obviously, so you know the value of a great pair of headphones. Get your own from Tweaked Audio by going to tweakedaudio.com and using the coupon code Southgate. With that code, you get 30% off on your order, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Order today and show your support to go fund this. Welcome back to Go Fund This. We have another great project to discuss today and one hell of an update. Let's get into it. Today's tip: make a video for your page. I know some people out there say it doesn't matter, but it truly does. The video is the first thing people see when they go to your page, and a video has a much bigger impact than some stagnant image. Not having a video is like having a tweet without a picture. Sure, people look at it, but one is much more likely to interact with an engaging image. The video does not need to be anything spectacular. It could be even basic. Thanks for checking out this project is better than nothing. You can film on a device or a webcam, use your phone, use your whatever. Make sure that you have adequate lighting, that's key, and that the sound is good. And I recommend at least having an outline of what you want to say. Bonus points for being creative, but don't let that hold you up. I know that's something that stops people from making this video. Don't. Once again, hey, thanks for checking out this project. We've got some great tiers. I can't wait to make this happen. Boom, you're done. Plus, you might get a good piece of content that you can use across social media to help build interest if you do it right. Like I said, videos are a great marketing tool that you don't want to ignore when setting up a Kickstarter, an Indiegogo, Patreon, or whatever type of crowdfunding you're trying to do. Update: Lost Lands to Hoodle still has 15 days to go. This project needed $20,000, which it has already passed. Right now, as of this recording, Lost Lands to Hoodle is at $42,581. That is astounding. Congratulations, and thanks to all of you that have helped support this incredible project. Today I have Cory DLG discussing his Kickstarter for his new comic book series, DMA, Department of Metahuman Affairs. Here's the description from Kickstarter. DMA stands for Department of Metahuman Affairs. This is an ongoing, full-color, 22-page comic book with 8-page backups, and it is about how the government responds to a world where some people have superpowers and some don't. In the first 8 pages of this issue, the Justice League, or Avengers of this world, get half their roster murdered, stopping a bank robbery, and this sets the stage for the government to feel obligated and or pressured from the public to finally get involved in the metahuman situation, something the last several administrations and Congresses had avoided. I'll have links to Cory's social media and the Kickstarter in the show notes, so please check it out and support this project in whatever way you can. All right, here's Cory. Cory, thank you for being on the show. I'm excited to talk to you. This project is really cool. First of all, before we tell people about it, let's hear about you. Who are you, Cory?
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be on the show. I'm Cory DLG. I'm of Nerd Thug Radio. We started out as a podcast, actually on an internet radio station that was all 90s hip hop. That's where the thug comes from. And we were the only talk hour on there. And then from there, we grew into what we do now on Conroe Radio. And it's afforded me all these opportunities, one of which is I now get to make comic books, which is a lifelong dream of mine. And so this is my second project, first one on Kickstarter. And I'm really kind of excited about it. It's called the Department of Metahuman Affairs, and it's interesting. But yeah, for me, it's been all nerd all the time, pop culture since 1983, man.
I get it. I live a similar life. So, Cory, I want to address something before we go on.
Okay.
First of all, you said your show has that hip hop thing, I want to point out that from one of my other shows, This Week in Geek, I've got a Lil on there. A Lil is on the show League of Geeks with a Z, and his thing he says every time is, it's got a Z because we're hip hop.
Yeah, that's accurate. Listen, sometimes you just got to do what hip hop does. Because they were actually, what's interesting about hip hop, just real quick, is they are trend setting in ways. Listen, Eminem was one of probably, for a minute, the most famous comic book reader in the world. And this is like the days of My Name Is, because he was one of the only people in pop culture who was like, yeah, man, I read comic books when I was a kid. Back then, it wasn't cool to yet because no one was making $100 million as Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
So, yeah, it's definitely like hip hop sets trends way before everything else. And I'm an 80s kid, so hip hop was like the music that was kind of coming up as like the revolutionary type music when I was a teenager and all that. I got way into all of it. And yeah, that was where we got our start. Big Yang bought Money Green Music, and it was a 90s hip hop station. And that was where Nerd Thug Radio debuted.
And that's how it happened.
That's how it started.
Yeah, man. Okay, so tell me about your comic. This is a comic that you're launching. Oh, I got another question before we do that.
Okay.
You said this is your first Kickstarter. What did you do before? Indiegogo?
No. I just went ahead and self-published the first couple issues of a book called Another Day at the Office.
Okay.
And it's a comedy. It's about a cop in a world full of superheroes. And he's just trying to do his job, but the superheroes are just kind of perpetually in the way, and he never really gets to be an officer. Like, that's really all he's trying to do, and his whole day is just littered with superheroes.
All right. And you financed that yourself?
Yeah, that one I made myself, and basically I just friends and families and stores and all kinds of, and I did, the first issue did about 600 copies. And then the second issue, I was trying to sell it to the stores right as COVID literally shut down the entire country.
Yeah.
So I did about 280 copies.
Okay.
Which I wasn't mad about. I would love to have done more rather than less, but given the circumstances, every issue it felt like an award.
Right. You bought it. You like it. Thank you.
Yeah. I call it the Susan Sarandon.
Very nice. Okay, so now let's hear about this book.
Yeah. So this book, Department of Metahuman Affairs, is I've been calling it like Chris Claremont's X-Men mashed up with West Wing. And the premise is, in the very first 8 pages of this book, I go in and I kill what is essentially half of the Justice League or the Avengers of this world. They die trying to stop a bank robbery. And what I want the book to be about is how the government would respond in a world where everyone's not really created equal. There's a guy who can lift a Buick with his head. So it's not really about everyone being the same, but you still have to adhere to principles and ideology and try and make the world a better place.
So he can lift a Buick with his head. What is that guy's name?
I mean, with mind powers, I should say.
Okay, he's got mind powers. Okay. It's a really specific thing. Like, what's he driving? He's got a Corvette. Damn.
No. You tell me when we're up on a Buick.
So okay. So what you've got is, for this Kickstarter, you're trying to launch the first issue, correct?
Correct.
And you've already done. You're already done with the artwork and basic stuff, correct?
Everything is done. The editor's already given me the edits. I just need to give him to the letterer. I'll email him later today. But with 10 days out, everything is finished, minus some minor editing of words.
So really, when we start talking about a crowdfunding project, the risk on this one is pretty much zero because you're putting it out. It's done.
Yeah, that was kind of, I think, my big selling point on this. There's a lot of books, and I've always kind of been against Kickstarting because of this. A lot of books, they ask you to pay them to make the book. And I'm not a fan of that. And so this book is made. So now what I'm asking you to do is basically order it, and then I'll ship it to you.
Right. Are you doing anything as specials to like comic book shops or anything?
I do offer, 2 of the tiers are wholesaler pricing, essentially. But they're also bulk. So I wasn't necessarily scared of like somebody just trying to buy one at the wholesale price. They have to buy either 10 or 25 at that price.
Sure.
In order to get them. So there's options for the retailers to buy them from the Kickstarter, put them on the shelf. Then there's also options for the individual readers to just support the project. But I wanted to try and cover all my bases because what I've been learning as I've been self-publishing is that, like, in a perfect world, you'd go to a distributor, but the problem is the distributors take so much right now, percentage-wise, that there's just no profit margin for the little guy. So you kind of have to do everything yourself. So, like, this year alone, I've physically mailed out probably like 400, 500 comic books.
Wow.
Just through the mail myself already this year.
Wow. So, I mean, you understand the business part of it. So once again, the risk is really low. You've got a product. You understand how to get it to the customer. So as somebody who wants to back something, now they got to get interested in your project. And it sounds like a really, really cool project. What are some of the tiers? What do people get at some of the special tiers?
So I think this is the part where I'm probably weakest. And I went on a show the other day, Beards and Comics, and the guys gave me some great advice. So I'm hoping if we get a little bit more movement, my stretch goals will be better incentives in the tiers. But basically what I did was I offered either digital or physical copies of the book. And so if you're buying digitally, I didn't do shipping overseas because I haven't had to ship overseas yet. And I'm really afraid of overseas shipping pricing.
I get that.
That could just. I was talking to a guy, Mike Tenner, who's done a couple really good Kickstarters like Black Jackets, and he was telling me that like international sometimes just breaks a project.
Yeah.
So, if you're international for this project, I would recommend buying the digital. And what I did do for this that is unique though is it's called Adopt a Comic Series. So the higher up tiers are actually you pre-buying multiple issues of the book. Either the first arc, which is scheduled to be 3 issues, or the first year, which is scheduled to be 12 issues. And so this is an ongoing series on my end. So ideally, what's happening here is the people who are just interested in the first issue can just buy the first issue. And then the people who are interested in pre-buying longer runs of the book and kind of taking this journey with me, they can do that here, and that helps me because they've invested long-term in this project.
Sure, they're investing in your future, and they want to see where this goes. This is a way to get there, as opposed to here's one issue, and then we're going to have to kickstart the second issue.
Exactly. And so I know I'm going to have to kickstart the first couple. I totally understand that. I have the eye on the numbers for that. But eventually, you build up enough people who are buying a year at a time where you no longer have to come back to Kickstarter every time, and you can just then get a monthly rhythm going. Because the Kickstarter is really the part that really slows you down a little bit, because I can't ship out these rewards until I get paid by Kickstarter.
Sure. So, okay. So we've got like $3 to get a digital copy, $7 to get a physical copy. It looks like that's what your tiers really come out to, is that type of ordering thing. I can see at the higher levels, and these aren't even these prices are great. I mean, if somebody's interested in supporting this, they can come in at some pretty easy numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, $75 for 25 wholesale comics, that's great.
And that was what I was hoping, was that, I get you in, and you suddenly you have the ability to the stores can still make good money off of these books. If they charge $5 and they do a full sell through, well, then they've made their money back plus about 30%, 40%, which isn't perfect markup for stores. And I know that, but it's better than nothing, especially on the indie side.
Yeah. I was just going to say, from an indie standpoint, that's not bad at all. If they come at you with a different number, well, that's something that they can talk to you about. But really, this is pretty basic. As I used to own a retail store, I know that I'm looking at this going, okay, this makes sense to me.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. That was what I was going for. I have some really good relationships here in Houston with some stores. Jen King of Space Cadets Collection is just an awesome sounding board, someone to talk to and give advice to. And she is a powerhouse in the industry. So like, you can't go wrong if you do what Jen tells you to do, you're not going to go wrong. Okay.
That's the kind of friend you want to have.
It really is. And then Bill Shealy, who owns the Adventure Begins Comics, Games, and More, has just been like one of the best people to be around. He's so positive and he's so awesome. And his store is new, but he's doing this like for the long term. when he came into his store, he basically started it with, I don't think I'm giving any secrets away here, but with the funds and the backing he could go like years if never make a sell, and he still would last like 2 years is what he has like privately said before. So like he's in it. He's in it for the long haul. And so somebody like that around is helpful. Like they have a longer vision than just, can I flip this variant cover for $20?
Right. Yeah, that's great. Those are the people you want to be around, and you can leverage their social media then too, which is really good. So what is your social media? And then I've got more questions, but why don't you give some social media and tell people where they can find this on Kickstarter?
Yes. So at Kickstarter, it's called DMA, Department of Metahuman Affairs. And it's under comic books, obviously. And then my social media is almost all the same. It's Cory DLG at Twitter, at Instagram, on Facebook. Nerd Thug Radio is kind of the page where we do everything. So it's facebook.com/Nerd Thug Radio, all one word. But yeah, social media, I try to keep it simple because I'm a dummy.
Actually, from a marketing standpoint, it's really smart to do that. So don't call yourself a dummy. You got it right, man.
There you go. Look at that. So
do you have any stretch goals attached to this?
I have stuff I want to do, but I was kind of told not to. So right now, the first weekend we really exploded, and then we kind of cooled off because there were some really great projects around on Kickstarter right now. And I totally understand. Like, I think Keanu Reeves just launched one. Scott Snyder launched one. Like, I'm standing in the shadow of some giants, but in really a short amount of time, I'm basically raised half my funds. So I didn't want to inundate everybody with all kinds of stuff and just get ignored when all the press releases are dropping for these other guys.
Right.
And then now that we're coming on the home stretch here, the Kickstarter ends September 11th. So we're kind of in the final 10-day kind of sprint, 8 days, whatever it is now, where we're kind of running towards the goal line. Now I'm going to kind of blow it up a little bit more, but I was also advised to wait until I'm closer to clearing before I start telling people about stretch goals. But that might not be right. I don't know.
You know what? We're all guessing, right? What's worked for one person doesn't work for the next one. So you kind of take the advice and figure out what works best for you. You're doing well though. You've got 9 days to go, correct?
Yes.
And you're over halfway to your goal.
And it's a manageable number. Like I didn't set like a $12,000 goal because literally all I'm doing is printing and mailing. Right. And then this money, the leftover money after I print and mail, is funding the next issue already. So like, I honestly, as soon as the money comes in, I go to print, I mail, and I'm using an American printer, so I'll be able to ship within the same month that I get the funds and all that. I'm excited about that. I'm working with Mixum, and they gave me a great discount to like become one of their commercial customers, and so it's been awesome.
Yeah, really good. And your artwork is great. The story sounds great. I mean, this is a winner. This just needs to get the word spread out there. What would you say as far as that goes? As far as, we've got people that can come in and fund this. Do you think them spreading the word is just as important? Do you like them to retweet your stuff? What's your take on that?
I think it's really says something about a project or about something when people are inspired to put their own words up about it. Like if they look at it and they go, man, this thing looks great. Let's make sure this gets made. I think that says a lot more than if I said, hey, I need 200 of your dollars by Friday, and then they retweeted it. Like I always feel like retweets kind of always feel a little bit like, yeah, this guy said it and I like it. But I don't feel like that's as authentic, as real as when someone's like, I think probably our best endorsements as people is when something moves us to the point where we spontaneously say something.
I like it. So you heard it from his mouth. Cory told you, if you like this, spread the word, but put your own words to it. That makes a lot of sense to me.
I think about like your favorite movies or things that we were talking about before the show started today, things that are, what'd you say? Awful? Awesome?
Awful.
Well,
I've never said that
awful
on this show, but yeah, awful. They're so bad. They're awful and awesome all at the same time.
And they inspired you to make a word. That was the pinnacle of the achievement there, is you had to make a whole new word for them. So like when something moves you, I think it's well worth, talking about. And I do want to mention that every issue has an 8-page backup story in it.
Oh, interesting. That's good to know too.
I'm an old school comics guy, and like I miss the backup stories.
Yeah, I like that too. Do you have a no prize that you give out too?
If someone catches a mistake and wants to send in a letter, I could have a no prize Hall of Fame up.
Oh, that's
Pretty
awesome.
quick.
I mean, you're old school like I am, so that no prize, that actually means something.
It really did, man. Stan Lee used to do the best stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And you would get excited about literally a no prize.
Right. Yeah, actually, I did a show about Marvel, specifically Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is what it started with. And we had a thing where we gave out a no prize. We were joking, like, do this and you get a no prize. And one person did. They ended up podcasting for us. And the best part is they have it framed on their wall.
Yes.
And he's really proud of it. It's Phil from Capes and Lunatics. When you watch their show, sitting behind him, if you have a keen eye, you'll see the Nuff Said no prize is sitting back there. It's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I'm such a homer for like comic books. I didn't know. So Overwatch has a video game league, and the New York team is called Excelsior. And
Nice.
I just immediately assumed that was an homage to Stan Lee. Like,
So
it
would
didn't
I.
even. It turns out that that's a real word that other people use.
Not just Stan Lee, huh?
Apparently not. I don't like. Because then somebody was like, "Yeah, Excelsior, duh," and I was like, "Why are they like? He doesn't even play video." That's. And they were like, "No, you dummy! It's a word." And I was like,
Of course, at the end of the game, they go, "Nuff said," and you're like, "Come on,
"Yeah,
man.
no, seriously,
seriously."
you're gonna tell me you don't know a single TLC song?"
Their blog is called The Soapbox. You're like, I swear, man.
Somebody is in on this. It's
Right.
actually just Stan Lee as their mascot, and you're like, "Come on!"
So, Cory, one more time, where can people find this on Kickstarter? They can look up DMA, correct?
Yes, DMA, Department of Metahuman Affairs.
Great. And then I'll put a link to that in the show notes, and I will put links to your social media in the show notes too. And if you guys have questions, write to Cory.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll even write back if it's a letter.
Oh.
Yeah.
And if you caught a mistake in the show, he'll send you a no prize. Cory, thanks a lot for being on, man. Good luck with this. I know you can make it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'm anxious, but I'm an anxious person in general, but I do feel very confident that we're going to get there.
I feel it too.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
I've put the link to the Kickstarter in the show notes, and we'll also have it on posts at our social media. Once again, sharing this project with your followers and friends is key, so please be an active participant and spread the word. While you're in the mood, please share this episode. That draws attention to this show, which we can always use. Oh, and please rate and review us. It only takes a few seconds and makes a huge impact on how many people see when we post a new episode. If you have a crowdfunding project, reach out to me at southgatemediagroup@gmail.com, on Twitter @rsouthgate, or on Facebook at Go Fund This Podcast. Tell me a little about the project or what you create, and I'll consider featuring it on the show. I would love to help you make your project a reality. Thanks for listening, everyone. Until next time, go fund this.